Hello friends, you can log on to primeaptacademy.com to access complete free video courses. Okay, so the question says that A and B are two independent events. Probability of A is given to be 0.2. Probability of B is given to be 0.6. We need to find the probability of neither event A nor event B happening. Okay, let that be equal to X. So we need to find the value of X. Now if there are two events A and B, okay, the possibilities that can happen is that A happens and B doesn't happen, and B doesn't happen. This is one of the possibility. Or the second possibility is A doesn't happen and B happens. Okay, with two events, these are the two possibilities. Also the third possibility is that A doesn't happen and B doesn't happen. A doesn't happen and B doesn't happen. And finally the fourth possibility is A happens and B happens. Okay, so with two events, there are only these four possibilities that are there. So if A is happening and B is not happening, or A is not happening, B is happening, or A is not happening, also B is not happening, and finally A and B both are happening. So if I find the probability for each of them, if we find the probability for each of them, they should add up to 1. Why? Because the universe of two events actually has only these four possibilities. So if I add up these the probabilities over here, that should be then equal to 1. Okay, because something of or the other from this from these four options has to take place. Okay, if there are two events, either one of them is happening like in the first two case, or none of them is happening like in the third case, or both of them are happening like in the fourth case. Okay, there is no other possibility. So if I find the probability of each of these cases and add that up, that should be equal to 1. Okay, so now over here for the first case, probability of A happening and B not happening. So probability of A is 0.2, probability of A is 0.2, B is not happening. So probability of B happening is 0.6. So probability of B not happening, that means not B. Okay, not B means B is not happening. That is 1 minus 0.6. So that is 0.4. So probability for A to happen and B to not happen, these are independent events. Okay, so if A is happening, the probability is 0.2, and over here is multiplication, and B is not happening, so that is 0.4. So 0.2 into 0.4 is 0.08. So probability for A to happen and B to not happen equals to 0.08. Okay, so we have found this probability, the first one. Similarly, we'll find the second probability. Okay, probability of A happening is 0.2. So probability of A not happening will be 1 minus 0.2, which is 0.8. Okay, and probability of B happening and B is happening, that is 0.6. So 0.8 into 0.6 is 0.48. Okay, so probability for that A doesn't happen and B happens is 0.48. Okay, now probability for A not happening and B not happening, this is probability of neither A nor B. Okay, neither A nor B means A is not happening as well as B is not happening. That we assume to be X, which is what we have to find. Okay, and finally probability of A and B happening together. Okay, these are independent events. So probability of A and B happening together is 0.2 times 0.6, that is probability of A and B. Okay, so this is 0.12. So this is 0.12. Okay, so we have found all these four probabilities. If we add them, this should be equal to 1. Okay, so that is 0.08 plus 0.48 plus X plus 0.12 is equal to 1. Okay, so 0.12 and 0.48 is 0.6, 0.6 and 0.08 is 0.68. So this is 0.68 plus x is equal to 1. So that means x is 0.32, which is what we have to find. Okay. So probability of neither A nor B happening is 0.32. Okay. So 0.32 is the correct answer here. Alright. That is how we solve this question.